Alright then, so this is looking good, but there's still a couple of things we need to do. First of all, we need to replace this image right here, which is currently a placeholder, with an image of either a nighttime scene or a daytime scene, dependent on the time of the location that a user searches for. So that's the first thing we need to do. We also need to show a little icon down here of the weather type. So for example, in this case, mostly cloudy, that would be some kind of cloud icon. So first of all, over in index.html, you can see the image for the night and day is this placeholder image currently with a class of time. Time meaning the time of day. Is it day or night? And the other image I've added in, which is inside the icon class right here, that is going to be for the icon. So just an empty image at the minute. So we're going to update the source of both of these things every time a user updates the location. So the first thing we need to do is get a reference to these things. So inside app.js at the top, let's come down and say const, and we'll say first time, this is the time of day one, is equal to documents.query selector, and we want the image with a class of time. That was this image at the top right here. It has a class of time. And the next one that we want, const icon, is going to be equal to documents.query selector, and we want first of all the div with a class of icon, then we want the image inside that. We don't need double dot there, just one. Okay, so we have those two references now, and they're the things that we're ultimately going to update. Now, how are we going to do this? Well, first of all, notice when we update the UI, I'm logging out the data. That's this object over here. And inside here, inside weather, we have these different properties. Now, one of those is weather icon. And this right here is 6, but this can be many different things dependent on the weather. And each weather type has a different number, 1 through 44. So we need 44 image icons in total, one for each weather type. And what we could do is call these 1.svg, 2.svg, 3.svg, and so forth. So dependent on the weather icon, we could update the source to match that image. So that's what we're going to do for the weather icon. And also we have this property is daytime. We can check whether it's night or day in this location using that property. If that's true, it means it's daytime and we show the daytime image. If that's false, it means it's night and we show the night image. So the icons that I'm going to use are originally from Climacons by Adam Whitcroft, and you can find these at adamwhitcroft.com/Climacons, and you can download those right here. But what I've had to do is download them all and rename each icon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. to match up with the weather icon right here. Now that was a little time consuming, so you don't have to do that. Instead, what you could do is just go to my GitHub repository for this course. Make sure you're on the lesson 108 branch, select that from here. Then go to clone or download and download zip. And that's going to download all of the course files for this lesson. Now, when you've done that, inside the weather app folder and inside image, first of all, notice we have day and night. These are two SVG images which look like this for the day and also this for the night. So we have access to those now, and also a folder called icons with all of these different icons that I've renamed 1 all the way through to 44. So if we click on one of these, we can see an icon. So if we get back, for example, a weather icon of 44, then it will load in this icon 44.svg. So you'll have access to all of those as well. Now I've already gone to Modern JavaScript, then gone to lesson 108 like I just said, and then I've already gone to download zip, and I have that zip folder right here. So if I scoot this over, we can see lesson 108 weather app. I'm going to get this image folder and I'm going to cut it, and what I'm going to do is go to this folder over here, so documents, then tutorials, Udemy, and recording. We're in weather app, and I'm just going to paste it in this folder right here, and we're going to see it over here now. So I have access to all of those images now inside this project. So let's first of all do the night and day image. I'm going to go over here, and inside here we can see we have day.svg and night.svg. So if we come down here, you can see I've already created a comment saying update the night and day and icon images. So let me now create a variable using let, and I'm going to call it time source, and I'm going to set it equal to null to begin with. Now this is ultimately going to be the source of the image that we want to use. For example, it will either be image/day.svg or image/night.svg. Now that source depends on what we get back right here, so we need to do that little check first of all. So I'm going to say if, then we need the weather object, which we have right here, and we want to check this property is daytime. So I'm going to say if weather is daytime. Now if this is true, it means it is daytime. Then we're going to set time source, which we just declared here, and we're going to set that equal to something else. That's why I used let, because we're going to overwrite this value now. So I'm going to set it equal to the source of the day image, which is image, and that's the folder /day.svg. So that's the source for the day image. Else, because if that's false, we need to set it equal to the source of the night one. So time source is equal to image /night.svg. And now we've done that. So now all we need to do is take whatever the value of this is and apply it to the source of the image. Not this one, sorry, this one. So we have a reference to that image, remember, it's up here called time. So we can now say time.set attribute, and we want to set the source attribute, and the source we want to set it to is this thing right here, time source, which is going to be either this or this, dependent on the time of day. So time source like so. If I save that now and come over here and refresh, I'm going to type in Manchester again, press enter, and we don't actually get anything. It's not doing anything there for us, so let's just see what's gone wrong. And I've got a feeling it's because I didn't refresh. So let me just come and hard refresh over here first of all, and we can see it's not letting us do this. So let me right click over here and open with the live server again, and this time we get a fresh tab. Now let's try this. I'm going to inspect, I'm going to console, and then I'm going to type in Manchester, press enter, and voila, now we see the background image. Awesome. So now we just need the icon down here. Now we already have the image right there, and we have a reference to that image in icon. So let's now update this. So what I'm going to do is now say const icon source, and that's going to be the source for the icon image, is going to be a template string because we're going to output a variable in here. I'm going to say image for the image folder /icons, which is where they're kept. Then we're going to output a variable because this is going to be dynamic. Now we want this to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 or 7, etc. And we're going to get that number from this object, remember. Inside the weather object we have the weather icon property. That's what we want this to be. So I'm going to say weather, which we have access to from here, and then we want the weather icon property, and at the end we want to say .svg because they're all SVG file types. Okay, so that is the source that we need to set now to the icon image. So now let me say icon.set attribute, and the attribute that we want to set this time is again the source, and we want the source to be icon source like so. So if I save this, I'm going to come over and refresh. Then I'm going to type in Manchester, press enter, and we can see we have an error. Okay, we've said incon, it should be icon. Okay, save again, come over here, Manchester, press enter, and now we can see we get this little icon. Now that's fine, but I'd like this to look a little better. So what I'm going to quickly do is go to my CSS, which is down here, and I'm going to paste in this rule right here. So this icon is referencing this thing right here, the class of icon, which is the wrapper of the image itself. And all we're doing is saying position relative, we're taking it up or nudging it up by 50 pixels, that's why the minus is there. The border radius is going to be 50%, making it into a perfect circle. The width is 100 pixels, and the margin bottom is going to be minus 50 to bring everything else up below it as well, because we nudged this up. So let me save this and refresh, and we can see now this looks a lot better. And we can type in different locations. I'm going to say New York and press enter, and we can see that's daytime and sunny. I'm going to say Hong Kong, press enter, and we can see is nighttime, overcast and 21 degrees. Awesome. So this, my friends, is pretty much all complete now. There is your weather app using just JavaScript and the AccuWeather API.